Hey everybody, my name's Michelle. I'm a therapist in the Seattle, Washington area with my practice Next Chapter Counseling. I got a question from someone who asked me, is it okay if I still try to figure out how to celebrate holidays or birthdays with my partner now that we're divorcing? They had a specific scenario here where basically they're separated and trying to navigate now, with like a birthday coming up soon. Do I wish them a happy birthday? Do I not? How do I do this? And especially if you're in that in-between area, if you're separated but not yet divorced, maybe you're still living together, even though your relationship is, for all intents and purposes, over. When you're in that gray area, it does become really hard to know what to do when big dates come around, how to celebrate birthdays, anniversaries, other holidays. Do you say anything? Do you do something like you used to do? What's okay here? So that's the general question that's being asked. And I think this is an important one because when you're in this process of ending your relationship, it can bring about a lot of questions of how are we going to be moving forward when these dates come around every year. And what's going to be the same about maybe how we've celebrated or acknowledged them before, and what's going to be different. And I think the big thing too that's coming up here for this person is not wanting to make their partner feel uncomfortable, right? Which it might if you bring home like flowers on Valentine's Day when you guys are separating. That might feel a little weird as one example. So the biggest thing that I'm going to recommend here to answer this person's question is that I recommend you ask the other person. Name the elephant in the room. Say to them, hey, I know your birthday's coming up in a couple weeks. Is it okay if I still get you a present, or would you rather I not? Or, how do we want to navigate? And maybe asking about the future might be too much for right now. You can just ask about the specific day. Hey, our anniversary is in a month. Like, that's maybe kind of weird now that we're divorcing. Like, do we want to just treat it like any other day? How do we want to manage this? And ask. And is it going to be an awkward conversation? Yeah, probably. And yet that's really the way to decide what you're going to do, is to ask the question and to name that this date is coming up, and to ask the other person what would feel comfortable with them. And they may say, yep, I would really prefer it if you didn't wish me a happy birthday, or if you didn't get me anything, or yeah, I'm not going to celebrate our anniversary. I'm not going to be saying to you happy anniversary when we're getting divorced. But hopefully they'll give you an answer of like, yes, it's okay for you to still acknowledge it in this way, or no, I would really prefer you didn't do what you've always done. And figuring that out is, really the only way you're going to do that is by asking. So that's the thing that I recommend. And then the larger picture here, though, is, like I mentioned, because these dates come around every year, and this may be a conversation to have down the line once the divorce is finalized and things like that. But really, again, what I hear here is that there's this other question of like, how are we going to be different from how it was when we were married to how it's going to be when we're divorced? What's going to be the same about us? What's going to be different about us? And trust me, divorced couples, they can look a million different ways. Some divorced couples never speak to one another ever again. Like, the divorce is finalized, they are out of each other's lives, they are done. And then other divorced couples become the best of friends. And it would not be weird in their worlds for them to like take the other person out for a drink on their birthday. Like, there's just no right or wrong here. And so that's something that, again, maybe down the line is another question to talk about and to think about, is how do we want to celebrate these things consistently, if at all? And another key factor to consider here is if you have kids, that's probably going to influence your answer. Whether your kids are grown will impact your answer. Whether your kids are really young is going to impact your answer, because it is important that if there are kids involved, to acknowledge these important days, even if it's just by the child making mommy a birthday card. Whatever it is, it's important that you make sure that your kids are seeing that these are important days to be celebrated, even if it's not the two of you doing something directly for the other. So that may impact you as well moving forward, of whether you acknowledge these important dates and holidays or whether you don't, is if you share children together and what would feel right for the kids in terms of acknowledging these dates as well. But going back to what I said first, the biggest thing I recommend is that you just ask. Name it, say this important day is coming up soon. What do we want to do about it, if anything? What would feel comfortable for you? What would feel like I'm crossing a line because I don't want to do that? I don't want to make you uncomfortable in any way. How do we want this to go? And see what the other person says and go with their comfort level. All right. If you have a question for me about love or relationships, send me an email, nextchapter.michelle@gmail.com, and I'll answer your question in a future video. Thanks, everyone.